Imagine all of the documents in your office, your building, and even your entire company. There's a lot of information in all those documents, right? A lot of really useful information that's sitting static on a page. Sure, you may have taken some of them and scanned them. You may have even run some OCR on them to be able to search in those documents. Some of you have probably even gone so far as to take those documents, put them into some type of document management system where you can add a description, you can add a title, maybe add some tags that you can reference and things like that to get back to those later, right? But how does that work with, say, pictures? What about handwritten text or even the tone or theme of those documents? We've lost a lot of context over the years, and even as we started to convert those documents to digital copies and collections, we continue to lose a lot of critical information. Now, what if I told you could take all those documents, hundreds, thousands, even millions of documents, load them into a single place where you can store them permanently with no limits on things like storage or amounts of documents? You could run AI and analytics against those documents to be able to extract text, written or typed, images, tone or sentiment of the document, and then have all of them in one place with an interface that you can interact with, allowing you to show you how the documents are related amongst themselves, among common themes, and even relate to themes within those images. Well, today I'm going to tell you just how to do that and share some sample architectures of how it's being successfully deployed today in Azure by covering knowledge mining with Azure Cognitive Search. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you, as always, for joining my channel where I talk about Azure, data, and some professional development. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, most likely in the top right corner of your page, and like and share this video, as all the support and engagement really motivates me to help you with these topics. So diving in on today's topic, knowledge mining in Azure with Cognitive Search, because the reality is data is messy, and this may be the solution that unlocks troves of valuable information in your organization and make you a hero. Data often spans media types such as text, documents, PDF files, images, and databases, plus all that paper. Also, data changes constantly. It's constantly growing, constantly moving, and it contains valuable knowledge in ways that just aren't readily usable. Knowledge mining refers to the ability to retrieve information and extract insights within a vast amount of data. Azure Search enables knowledge mining by using built-in AI capabilities to uncover latent insights from all of your content, documents, images, and media. Azure Search is the only cloud search service with built-in AI capabilities that enable you to discover patterns and relationships within your content, understand sentiment from that, extract key phrases, analyze images, and more capabilities using other Azure Cognitive Services offerings. For context, here are a few examples of how organizations are using knowledge mining to unlock insights from their data. Customer service organizations often use knowledge mining to extract data and intelligence out of case documentation from calls. They can analyze customer sentiment to improve agent productivity and the overall customer experience. Healthcare organizations face the challenge of too much clinical data. Large volumes of data may include things like patient name, demographics, years of medical records and health history, diagnoses, and lab results. With knowledge mining, healthcare providers can sift through large amounts of data, identify infections sooner, predict which patients are likely to have certain problems, and allow doctors to better serve patients. Also, with the onslaught of requirements around data protection, GDPR, and others, we're able to identify that data using cognitive services to be able to classify the data and protect it as needed. Now, in financial services, businesses need to address the challenge of making sense of large volumes of documents, forms, contracts, and more. Natural language processing techniques combined with specialized content understanding models enable financial services organizations to better understand and serve their customers in a more personalized way. Finally, oil and gas companies have teams of geologists and other specialists that need to understand seismic and geologic data. They often have decades of files with images and handwritten field notes, and they need to take those documents, they need to connect them, they need domain experts and events, and synthesize all this information to make informed decisions. So, to understand how this all fits together, let's go to the whiteboard and kind of check it out from there.
Okay, so now as we dive into the whiteboard, essentially we're going to work up what it takes to actually put together a knowledge mining solution using Azure Cognitive Search. And so we're going to start with our source documents. So, these could be Word docs, these could be PDFs, right? These could be anything in document types. They can also be images, right? And they could have various historical landscapes. So like there's one use case out there where you can identify, say, like the Eiffel Tower, and those types of things, right? So we load all these documents in, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to determine what they are, right? So we're gonna run sort of through this enrichment process where we will crack the documents, they call it, and determine, okay, can we run OCR against it to be able to pull out, extract any text, be able to have sort of that extracted layer on top of our set of documents. And this is, obviously structured and unstructured data. Could be databases were loaded, right? So we'll add databases in here as well. Okay. Now from there, we're going to decide which cognitive services we were on, right? Basically, you've got your standard cognitive services for language understanding. So maybe we want to do Lewis for some kind of translation, right? Or we want to do some kind of key phrase extraction, right? So, we're looking for specific instances of terminology and, those types of things, whether it's be like a legal firm or a medical field or something like that. We've got some options on, there's certain areas that we can look on. Just backing up real quick, in order to get these documents in, right? So these can all be loaded via the various vehicles, right? So you've got things like, if it's a massive data store, you've got DataBox, right? You've got the Azure AZ Copy, right? You've got your Storage Explorer, right? And then more recently at Build, they actually announced that there is now an ability to use Power Query. So it's going to have some direct connections into various data sets. I would imagine you'd see some of the more popular ones, that we see for things like file-based storage locally, or maybe other cloud providers, blob storage, those types of things, right? So we're going to pull all that data in. Just want to make sure we announce that. How do we get those files in? So sorry. And then from there, after we've determined which cognitive services we're going to use, we're going to determine if there are any gaps in those cognitive services. And if there are, we're going to create what are called custom skills, right? And so, for instance, if there is some terminology that we use in, say, medical terms or acronyms that we use. Microsoft has a million acronyms out there, and we can load a dictionary of what those acronyms are. In our case, you could have an architectural design session, or you can have Azure Data Services. They're both ADS. And so how do we extract that? Well, we can look at what the context of the conversation is, but on the whole, we can build these custom skills to be able to get better clarity around our data. And so, we basically would build out any custom skills that we need, and basically hang them off as an API, just like we would with cognitive services. And then from there, we're going to load all of the results of our metadata that gets related to our data sets into our search index, right? So basically, this is what's going to allow us to interface similar to the indexes of old, where you're going through and maybe you're doing some compression of the data, you're aligning the metadata, you're looking at what the cognitive services are doing, what your custom skills are doing, indexing all of that text into one place, and then we're going to make it something that can be searchable, right? And so, we've got our little magnifying glass here. And so we're going to be able to do our searches. And then, so at this point, the entire solution is built. So now it's just a matter of how are we going to access that data, right? So how are we going to actually perform these searches? And these can be done through a bunch of different ways, right? You could use like a web app. You can use a mobile app, which I think they're all kind of one and the same now, but just for posterity's sake, you can use both. You can use as just a pure API, so like an on-prem app, other apps. You can use it in things like Teams, and really any place that you can call an API to be able to run your search against your search index and then return your results and return, links basically back to the documents that you might want to see. So hopefully that gives you somewhat of an idea of how this looks from a bird's eye view and more of a whiteboard session.
Okay, hopefully that was helpful to give you somewhat of an understanding of how this gets put together. Finally, one of the most publicly available and famous knowledge mining solutions is the example that Microsoft put together a couple years back, using the JFK files that were released by the US government, totaling over 40,000 documents, pictures, images, and more. Now, by exploring this site, you'll see that the developers used a combination of common cognitive services such as computer vision, OCR, and handwriting recognition, as well as entity linking. However, what's less obvious is that they created a custom skill that was built to handle CIA cryptonyms, or common CIA codes and acronyms used throughout the documentation. Now, I'll put some links to the GitHub repo and the website, and shows the notes for further explanation. But overall, this should give you a really good idea of what we're talking about when we discuss knowledge mining and using Azure Cognitive Search. I hope that you found this video valuable. If so, please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, throw some comments or questions into the comments section below, and tell your friends, because every little bit of encouragement helps. I hope you have a great day, and thanks again for watching. Bye.